Hello, I'm Alex from Franz Ferdinand.
Hello, I'm Bob from Franz Ferdinand.
Hey, I saw you play at the Paradiso last November. Tell me about that show.
Oh, that was a fantastic show. It was the penultimate show of a tour we were doing with the Fiery Furnaces, and it was a great, really good night for us. The crowd are fantastic, and I think the show was recorded that night as well, and somehow it ended up being bootlegged and ended up as being released as an LP record, and then we took the recording and released it as a sort of second disc with some of our first copies of the album that we put out. So we really enjoyed that show, and it's nice to listen to the recordings of it. It makes us feel good.
But you weren't pissed off at all about that?
No, we did exactly the same if we had the opportunity. There's nothing wrong with listening to music.
But for instance, the internet has changed a lot in the music industry these days, as you all know. How do you feel about that then?
I think it's fantastic. I really like it. You've no idea how many people we've spoken to in places like New York, where the album isn't out yet, and they'll say, they come along to the gigs and they sing along with every song and they know all the words. They say, how do you know the songs? They say, well, we downloaded your album and we can't wait till it's released so we can buy it. And I'm the same as well. I know I've used the internet to download songs before, especially things that are very difficult to get your hands on. And I've used it to download bootlegged recordings of gigs and things like that. It's exciting, that sort of thing. Of course, if you love music, you want to do everything you can to sort of get your hands on whatever recordings you can. It's part of the fun of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Things are going so fast for you guys right now, success-wise, and I just wonder, it must be really hard to keep up with that mentally,
I think we're quite lucky that we were all good friends before all this started, and the people that come on the road with us to help us are all friends as well, so it doesn't really feel like that crazy. It just kind of feels quite normal being around the same people.
I think as well, the only time you realise how crazy it actually is when you stop doing it. Like we just had a weekend off in Glasgow, and I was sitting up at my mum and dad's house and talking about all the things that we've been doing. It was almost as if I was talking about somebody else's life and what they were doing and like all these things that were happening to them. And it's only when you change your perspective. Once you're in the middle of it and you're doing it, it just seems completely natural and completely ordinary. There's nothing weird about it.
I've read Franz Ferdinand. It's the band that's going to change your life. I'm like, whoa.
Well, I don't know. That's not what we're claiming. That's what other people claim. And I think we were aware right from the very start when we first got a band together that once we created music and put it out into the public for people to consume, that they were going to interpret it in their own way, and you can't stop people doing that. And it's good that people say things about it that you wouldn't necessarily say about your own music. And we wouldn't want to control people, and we're very happy for people to say what they want about our music, and if people want to say it's going to change their lives, fine, but we're not going to say that, I think the things that influence you most are the things that affect any band on any level. The fact that you're in close proximity with each other, you travel together in a van or a bus together, you're doing the same things again and again every night. You get to see new places which are exciting, and these are things which affect all bands, whether they're playing to 50 people or 50,000 people. So they're the important things. They're the things that really affect your relationship with each other, not so much the level on which you're doing it.
You sort of basically started out as a bunch of squatters.
Kind of, yeah. We did, and I think this is something that you find in Amsterdam and all across Holland as well. There's a great history here of people taking over buildings that aren't being used. I know because I came over here with a band, the Yummy Fur, in the mid-90s, and we did a tour of squats all around Holland, and I was really impressed by it. It was fantastic. We played in Utrecht, and we played in Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and there were all these wonderful places. I can't remember where it was. There was one place that was an old undertaker's, and it was a fantastic, but all these different fantastic places, and quite inspirational as well. And I think sort of here you have this great history of that. And yes, we were doing something similar in Glasgow. We were taking over buildings and not necessarily squatting them. We were finding the people that were looking after the buildings, and they had nothing happening in them, so we said, look, we'll do something in them. And we were fortunate enough to find people that had a sympathetic view of what we were doing, and they let us take over these buildings and have our parties and throw our gigs and make a lot of noise and cause a nuisance. So
there's another thing I read is that you're not afraid of nice or good tunes.
I think that's part of the approach as well.
I mean, to a lot of people, that's almost a dirty word, you know.
Oh yeah, of course. Like pop's become a dirty word as well, which to me is completely ridiculous because the best music is pop music, which comes from the left field. Like to me, like a band like the Velvet Underground or the Stooges or the Sex Pistols or the Buzzcocks or Talking Heads or Dexy's Midnight Runners, all these bands are bands which came from the left field, like people who had a radical approach to the music which they created, but at the same time loved melody. What's wrong with melody, for God's sake? It's amazing. What's wrong with dancing? Are we going to deny these things because we're such intellectual snobs? No, of course not. No, these things are wonderful, and they're all part of like being a human being, and yeah, of course these are the things that move us in music, and we're not going to deny those things. And I think that's part of our anti-elitist approach. We're not scared of playing a bloody tune.
You ever been under any pressure artistically?
I think we're quite lucky not to have that much pressure as when we were recording the album, because it was it's self-imposed, and we're our own biggest critics. Yeah. So if we're in a practice room and we're like playing some songs and you're playing something and it's rubbish, then we're not scared to tell someone that it's not good.
I think that's something as well. It comes like we were all friends before we were in a band together, and I think that's something that benefits you when you're playing songs together as well, because you're not scared to say to each other, I don't know about the sound of that, but at the same time you're totally willing to go, see that bit there you played, that's amazing, play that again. And like so like you can have like enthusiasm and negativity in equal parts with your friends, like in the same way that you can like go to your friends and say, oh God, I wouldn't wear that jumper with those trousers, it really doesn't go together. But if it wasn't a friend, you wouldn't say that because you'd be stepping over a boundary. And it's the same kind of boundaries exist when you're playing music together. So, and when you're in a situation where you can trust your friends, you can say things that you wouldn't normally say to people you weren't as close to.
Is it possible to define your sense of style? I think that's an impossible question, actually.
Yeah. So it's impossible to answer then, isn't it? I think it's dangerous when bands start defining themselves too much. I think part of the best thing about bands is the fact that you interpret them all in your own way. Yes. Not just music as well. Like we take our influences from everything, from film, literature, from other music, from art, whatever we're interested in, whatever we discuss amongst ourselves, all of it gets absorbed, and then like sort of, and that's what makes who we are, and who we are makes the music that we make. So like we are what we consume.
Thank you very much, actually.
Thank you very much.